Fearing fear, and an invitation to tea with uncertainty. Storytime with Shiloh Sophia and the Backdoor Muse. The Muse is at the back door tonight. I am waiting for her. I knew she would come. She can smell my fear. She does not knock. She just busts through with black feathers flying and a foul wind. Leaves scatter all over my floor. She straddles the chair as she does. Green dragonflies circle her head. I am fairly certain I see a bat fly out of her blackened basket. Ugh. Her eyes have a look that make my insides turn to liquid. Is that black eyeliner she is wearing and red lipstick? She looks like death's unruly daughter. Danger. Now I wish I had gone to bed with the others, taken a whiskey and some NyQuil to dull the ache rising in my gut, or watched another episode of Outlander, eating too much popcorn. I do so love butter. I whimper a little, and this is her cue. She does not hiss. She levels her voice. Will you speak to your fear? Will you speak to your fear? I search my gut for answers. I am afraid. Yet I feel ashamed of my fear. Everyone tells me not to be so afraid, to manage myself, not to panic. So I hide it instead. Then it bottles up, threatening to explode, and it makes me feel sick to hide how I am feeling, to try to look normal in times like these. She nods, yawns, and tells me, well, you don't pass for normal anyway. Tell me, what happened today? So I go to the store to stock up for the storm. It's coming, you know. She rolls her eyes. I clear my throat and go on. A big storm. We don't know how long. Well, anyway, instead of toilet paper, since there was none to be had, I stocked up on extra cake and champagne and plenty of cheddar, salami, and gluten-free crackers. I see logical apocalyptic choices. She laughs, and so do I. It just feels good. I take it as encouragement and keep going. My irony tone of voice takes over. Oh, no toilet paper, but the fancy napkin aisle was full of chic designs. Would that not work for toilet paper, even if you have to wipe your arse with a happy 50th birthday napkin? I wonder what toilet paper represents, she quips with a giggle. Shit hitting the fan, perhaps, I return. Keep going, she says. I am afraid because the world may be coming to an end as we know it. She hums the REM tune. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. Truth, she says, all cocky-like. And because I might die. Truth. What else? And because I don't want innocent people to suffer. Truth. And you will suffer, and so will many. No getting out of here alive, you know. I breathe finally. How long had it been since I let my belly out? I am all knotted up. I begin to let go. What an effing relief. This all feels really strange, but so much better than whatever I was doing before the muse busted through my back door. Out of her black basket, she pulls a book. Things begin to fall out, scattering the table like a fortune teller's spread. She organizes them into an odd assortment. Instead of reading tea leaves, the muse's journal is far more interesting. As if hearing my thoughts, she answers me. I'm not into fortune telling. That's so last century. What I am into is what you see when you look. Look at what? Yes, she replies. Oh, her riddles. I examine all of it, wishing my purse was as exciting. A tattered red thread, a eucalyptus leaf, a single rose petal, a sprig of lavender. A postcard of the Black Madonna, a bookmark from Shakespeare and Company, both from Paris. A very intact lizard skin, a tea bag with licorice root and rolling papers. She hands me a little red velvet bag filled with colored pens instead of pot. I choose the gold one, shaking it up. Draw it, she says. Draw what? This fear of yours. Draw it. I open to a page and it is black. Who has journals with black pages? As I draw the shape of it, jagged and sharp, my body responds. Soon my hand's motion dissolves into making spirals and dots. Gold confetti fills the black void. After what seems like a long time, and not so long after all, I look up surprised, feeling different. She has my attention. She's always talking about this creative stuff. I'm beginning to see what she likes about it. I feel changed in just that short time. I pour the tea. The smell of licorice root fills the kitchen. The dog comes in to listen, licking my feet. She begins to speak in a storytelling voice. The problem is not fear. The problem is fearing fear, then staying stuck in fear when it is time to move on. We do have a choice how long we stay in fear, but at first, learn to respect fear. Otherwise, how can you trust what your gut is telling you? Don't shut down your intuition when it tells you danger is here. Don't prefer instead some idealized spiritual litany dime store bypassing and call it positive thinking. Positive thinking can happen in the midst of chaos. It does all the time. Just don't miss the chaos. Instead, hang out in the eye of the storm. Look around a while. So, I am here to honor your fear and to give you a warning. Respect your fear. There is a place for fear in our lives. Be kind to yourself if you feel fear. Fear is not just a foe. Fear is a friend of wisdom. Being mindful of telling others not to fear. Fear can show you where to look. If you fear, you will miss the message. Some say there's only fear or love, not both together, and this is not so. We have all known fear and love, and we shall, again and again, just like we are today. Yet see, we are navigating it now, aren't we? We have lived side by side with pain and pleasure, with hope and despair, faith and loss. God is like this. Sex is like this. Birth is like this. Love is like this. Creativity is like this. Both and with a little now what and how so thrown in, but it is not either or this or that. Cause and effect is so yesterday, and so is needing it to be one way or the other. The seeming paradox only cancels itself if you invalidate one and praise the other. My stomach relaxes into her telling. I am becoming present, and my panic is moving away from me at a rapid pace. I feel trapped birds within me flying free. I look more closely at her and see she's not in black, but dark purple, with tiny stars embroidered on her garment and a planet here and there across her shoulders. I had not seen them before now, but now they glow in my eyes. I was only looking at the black, not what is held within the black. I was not seeing what black is the context for. Black is the context for stars, for light. I get her a piece of lemon cake. She likes extra frosting on her cake like me. It tastes good with licorice root tea. We eat our cake communion in silence. I feel we are getting ready, but for what? I don't know. Eventually, she asks me to speak to how and when fear could be damaging. She wants me to get this. I speak my heart. How fear can damage our life ongoingly is to make decisions driven by fear over and over without seeing the messages. Fear itself can be a healthy response to cycles like this, ones that change everything. We can sit with fear and let it inform our love. She smiles, looking victorious that her message had gotten through. Phew. I am captivated by the twinkle in her eyes. She sips her tea and begins to speak. Have tea with uncertainty instead of trying to tie down your plans. The storm is at the door already. Trying to be certain has never worked well. Tell me, the next time someone you love tells you they are afraid, what will you say? I knew the answer. I could feel it. I might say, let us plan together to work through how you feel. Let us honor your fear instead of making how they feel wrong. I am their witness, not their judge. This is a revelation. Maybe I could help others who are afraid, like me. She invites me outside into the dark night. We bring our tea and we walk for what seems like a very long time, up a hill. I have no idea where, and I don't care. I'm following a voice of reason held within the great mystery of uncertainty. When she stops, we are atop a hill, looking down at our twinkling village. She speaks as if speaking to all of them. Does the child afraid of the dark call the darkness? Does the woman afraid of violence call the violence? Does the person afraid of getting sick call the sickness? Does the devil come because you fear him? Let me say this again. Does the child afraid of the dark call the darkness? No. Does the woman afraid of violence call the violence? No. Does the devil come because you fear him? No. No. That ancient trickster only shows up when you don't fear him enough. He can be hard to spot in a crowd. Keep watch. I am surprised. I had never heard her speak of him before. Do you know him? I ask, Do you know him? Stammering, my fear rising up again about what she might say. Oh, my dear, I have wrestled with him a time or two. Yeah, I have the scars to prove it. We have all wrestled with his ilk, though we call this work by different names. No muse worthy of the task of inspiring the likes of you has not faced the impossible accusations. She pauses then, squats low to the ground, feels the earth with her hands. She pauses then, squats low to the ground, feels the earth with her hands, scoops up something she finds and plops it into her basket with a kerplunk. She whispers now, and I draw near. No true teacher will tell you not to feel what you feel. They will instead nudge you if you revel too long in shadows. Let your choices be in love, not in fear. How do you get from fear to love, I ask, concerned that I do not know the way. The sky begins to lighten. This, she says, putting her arm around my shoulders, is what humans are good at. Loving. Unreasonable loving. You think fear blocks unreasonable loving? It doesn't. You just have to remember you have a choice. I think I forget that I have a choice, I say. You do, she says, and that is where I come in. I am here as an instigator of your creative life force. When you create, you remember who you are. When you remember who you are and the badass ancestors you come from, you won't stay in fear. You will move into love because you cannot help but help. Compassion does not ask the other to agree. Compassion sees what there is as it is. The problem with fearing fear is you miss the message when it first arrives. And if there is something worth fearing, oh, it will be back to warn you again. Fear will ask you to pay attention again. I am walking home in the morning light, carrying 2 empty cups. My heart is filled with the light. My heart is filled with the light. Only the shadows reveal. The rain begins to fall softly in my face and feels like love from heaven. I send love to every doorway I pass and hope they may be so lucky as to have the muse one day darken their doorway with bright foreboding. She comes bringing respect for fear and an invitation to tea with uncertainty. She comes bringing respect for fear and an invitation to tea with uncertainty.